Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsyreplays. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to look at 3 tanks. I could have picked a number of tanks, but I've just chose 3 tanks for this video. Obviously, we'll do further videos on this subject, as we always do, but 3 tanks that... Does anyone even know that these exist? Like, does anyone even know these tanks exist? Because you just never, ever see them. So the first one, we've gone down to tier 5, and all of these were two of them were tech tree tanks. Tech tree premium tanks that you could actually purchase at any time. That is before Wargaming removed most of them from the tech tree. So the first tank is the SU. Like, I've even got to open it up to have a look. The SU-85I. Like, it's a tier 5, and you could have bought it any time. It's not a great tank by all means, but does even anyone now, the newer players, do they even know this tank exists? Only 51 players over the last 90 days have played this tank. That is not a lot. There are tanks out there that actually have less battles, which we'll make in a future video. But we're only looking at 3 tanks. I only randomly picked this tank. I didn't look at any stats, how many people played the tanks. I've just randomly picked 3 tanks, which I've looked at. Okay, I've never seen this for years, or I haven't seen this one for months. Yeah, and this was one of them that I just have not seen in many years. So yeah. Again, it's not a great tank. It isn't a great tank. Never really been a great tank. And it's not a premium tank people would rush to get. And ever since Wargaming removed it from the tech tree, you just never see it. You never see them come for sale. You just never see it anymore. So yeah, that then leads me to the second tank on this list. So the next one is the Panther M10. Another one, you know, you used to see a lot of these back in the day. It was one of my first premium tanks that I ever bought. It was cheap, you could buy it at any time. It was in the tech tree. So yeah, you just go on to sort of the German tech tree. And as you see the tech tree now, if you look over to tech trees, when you look at all the lines, above everything used to be the premium tanks. So German premium tanks on the German tech tree line, and you could buy them at any time. You know, this one had this, you had... of course, the Lerva, and etc. So yeah, there were tanks that you could just purchase at any time. As soon as you had the gold, it was for gold. It wasn't for money or crates. It was for gold. As soon as you had the right amount of gold, you can purchase at any time. And that Panther M10 was there. And actually, to be fair, back in the day, it wasn't a bad tank. It wasn't a very bad tank at all. Got really good DPM speed. Armor's troll. Like, I mean, the armor isn't fantastic, but it was troll. Now, more people than expected has actually been playing this. 133 people in the last 90 days have played this tank. Still low. Of course, 133 people is not a lot at all for a tank that anyone could have purchased. And again, it's another one like the SU. Once it got removed, like, you don't see it. You don't see it come for sale. You don't see it, people playing it. Like, you go to tier 7 and tier 8, or if you come up against tier 7, it's not a tank that you're going to see every game. And it's maybe 1 in 10. You might have to have 10 or even more battles in tier 7 to finally actually see one of these tanks. Yeah, it's just not played. And good reason, because at the minute, now, yeah, it isn't a fantastic tank by all means. But it used to be. Like I said, it used to be alright. Didn't mind this tank at all. And especially the quick reload, it was fun, you know. As soon as you switch to the APCR, it was a kind of fun tank to play. It wasn't the best, but you're forgetting when this was... Back in the day, you didn't have the premium tanks that you have now. Like, you know, there wasn't half of them, hardly any of them. They didn't really have premium tanks. The only premium tanks you could get were those in the tech tree. So you was limited to premium tanks. So yeah, this wasn't too bad back in the day. That then leads me on to another tank that isn't so good or popular at the moment. And of course, we have another Panther, the Panther 8.8. 139, so very similar to the M10. 139 people, 139 players have played this over the last 90 days. For a tier 8 tank, that's not many at all, considering tier 8 is probably one of the most popular tanks other than tier 10. But again, when this was released, tier 8 was the popular. Everyone wanted to play tier 8. You know, it was the credit farming tier. It was the tier of premium tanks. Wargaming just kept releasing premium tank after premium tank after premium tank in tier 8. As you can see, there are just hundreds of premium tanks in tier 8. Now, the 8.8 is not a special tank at all. Like, it's okay in the right hands, but yeah, you look now compared to premium tanks in this day and age, it does struggle. It really does struggle, and yeah, it's not a fun tank to play. Back then, even when it was released, to be fair, it was never really been a fun tank to play. It can do the job. Yeah, it can do the job. The reload is pretty low. So yeah, as long as you've got cover and you've got a bit of protection, you can actually get a little bit of damage. Doesn't have high alpha, but you do have that quick reload. So just over 4. If you're using adrenaline, just over 4 seconds. If you're not using adrenaline and you're using the calibrated shells to get more pen, which I would recommend, 5.9 seconds reload, which is nothing really. You know, the reload is nothing at all. So yeah, all 3 tanks, never really see them. This tank, especially in tier 8, never see it. The M10, never see it, and especially, more importantly, that SU-85i. I can't remember. Honestly, I'm not just saying it, but I can't remember the last time I played tier 4, 5, and 6 and I see the SU-85i. Honestly, it years, absolutely years. And when you look at the stats and see that only 51 people have played it in the last 90 days, that is not a lot at all. Like, really, that isn't a lot. So yeah, that's it. Are you surprised at any of these 3 tanks not being popular? I'm not, honestly. There are people that have played less, which I will look at in a future video. Maybe sometime after the update, when I get a bit more time, I will look at other tanks that I can. And the way I do it, I don't go on to Blitz Stars. I don't look at stats and think, oh, the bloody hell, look, this has only had 1 game. I just go through my tanks. I literally just go through the tanks I've got and think, you know what, when was the last time I see that tank? And that is what the video is about. So do you see any of these tanks often, like me, like never? Or, no, I'll rephrase that. Are you like me and don't see these tanks often? Or are you one of the lucky ones that sees these tanks all the bloody time? I highly doubt it, but you never know. So are you surprised at any of these 3 tanks in this list? Let me know in the comments below. But for now, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm meadsy69, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye bye.